Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allison and today I am finally getting around to a book review. This book I read back in May, and yes, it is July and I'm just now finally getting to it. So I don't want to waste any time just rambling, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started with the review. So the book I'm talking about today is A Time of Dread by Gwynne. This book is a adult fantasy novel, and it is the first book in the Of Blood and Bone series by Gwynne. This is his second series that he wrote. It was published in 2018 and it is 485 pages long. So this book, let's just preface this by saying I really enjoyed this book. It is such a good book. I just really liked it. So if you have not watched a book review by me before, there are 5 categories that I like to talk about when I review books, and they are character, world or setting, and plot/pacing, writing, and overall enjoyment. And then I will write about or review each of those aspects of the book, and then I give each of those aspects a rating, and then I will divide that number up by 5, and then that will give me my overall rating for this book or for any book that I read. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started with the characters. So there are 4 points of view in this story. There is a young boy named Bleda. There is a young girl named Riv. There is an adult named Drem, and then there is a giant named Sig. And I loved every single one of these characters so much. Drem and Riv, I feel they had the most page time. Not that they were more important than any of the others, but the story did focus more on their points of view than the other 2. But literally every single character is so well written. It was just, I don't even know. It's like this book, guys. Gwynne is a master writer. I literally have no other explanation for how well written this book is. So all of the characters, they're extremely likable. I loved all of them. I mean, not, the main characters. I didn't love all of the characters in the book. If I did, then I would be reading some child's fairy tale. This is not a fairy tale book. I connected with all of the main characters on some level, which is really rare for me. Usually I have a really hard time connecting with characters at all whatsoever, but these characters were just so likable that it was hard not to connect with them. You could just, I don't know, feel everything they were feeling. It just somehow they I don't know. I really don't know how to explain it. They're just really likable, real, I don't know. They don't have this, and maybe this is just a curse of me reading too much YA, but they just don't have that I'm so important thing going on. They're confident in themselves, but they're also not going around bragging about how awesome they are. So there's that, which I really liked, because in a way all of the main characters in this book have qualities that make them pretty dang awesome. So I don't know. I like it when you can come across a character that is confident but not overwhelmingly boastful about it. So I really enjoyed that. There are lots of side characters in this book, but literally if they did not exist, then there would be no story, because there would be nothing forcing the characters to act or whatever. There's lots of interesting characters. There's a lot of characters that are there's some kind of duplicity going on, so they're saying they're one thing and then they're really not. So that was great. Overall, I really liked the characters. That was the major draw for me for this book, was just the characters themselves. The next category is world/setting. So when I started reading this book, I was like, man, this just doesn't make a lot of sense. There's not a lot of world building really that happens in this book, and I can't say 100%, but I think it's because I did not read the series that he wrote prior to this one, which is set in the same world. That one is called The Faithful and the Fallen or something like that, and it's a 4-book series, and I don't know if this world, if the world that A Time of Dread is set in is more fleshed out in that book or not, in that series or not. It may be, it may not be. I have literally not done any research on it, so I don't know. But when you're reading A Time of Dread, there is a lot about the world that is assumed that you already know. But it didn't really take away from the story itself. It was just kind of like, huh, I wonder why that is that way. And maybe it's not talked about in the other series. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you can read this, as far as I'm concerned, you can read this without having read the previous series. I don't think there's anything in this that spoils for what happens in that series. I literally don't know. Maybe some people would think that, but I have not heard from other people that you need to read The Faithful and the Fallen before you read Of Blood and Bone. Maybe that's the case, I'm not really sure. There are aspects of the world that are explained, especially in relation to what happens in this book. So that kind of stuff is explained. Bonus, there is a map in the beginning of the book, which I absolutely love. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, and a cast of characters, so that's helpful. So here's the map. I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time reading fantasy books that don't have, or just any book in general that doesn't have a map. Like, you could put a map in every single book, even if it does not required, and I would be completely happy about it, because especially if the characters are moving around a lot, or if you're switching from points of view that are in different areas of the world, like this book. There's only 2 characters that were in kind of the same area, and then there was one in another area and one in another area, and it just, I appreciated the map because then I could tell where everyone was at in relation to each other, and it really helped me like kind of grasp like how far a character had to go to get somewhere or whatever. So that was nice. And the world building, like, even though there's a lot that is assumed that you know about the world and it's not really explained, the world building in this book is still excellent. It's still so really good. I'm trying to think what my favorite part about the world was. I want to say it's the different kind of like races that exist. So I already said that there was giants because one of the main characters is a giant. Or one of the points of view. I wouldn't necessarily say she's the main character, but she does have a point of view, so I guess that kind of makes her a main character. Anyway, she's a giant, and she's like a warrior, and she's really cool. And then there are angels in this book, or something similar to angels. I'm pretty sure they're called angels in this book, but they're not like normal angels. Like, they're beautiful, and they have beautiful wings and stuff, but they're not, you know, they're not like good, I guess. They're very interesting. And then there is a race of creatures called demons, and those are really creepy and weird. And so there's a lot of different kinds of like races that exist in this world. There are like, without giving everything away, like, I hate giving stuff away, but there are like clans that live in this world that one of the main characters is from, and just there's like an overarching world, and then there's like little like countries inside the world, and then there's like races inside of those countries. So there's that aspect of the world building, which I think is really cool. I like learning about that kind of things. Like, I don't just like to be told, you know, here are all of the races and here is all of this. Like, you kind of discover it as you're reading the story, which I really appreciated. I think that's all I have to say about world and setting. Next, we have plot and pacing. Okay, so this is where John Gwynne's writing shines, I think. This book is so action-packed and so fast-paced, it's not even funny. There's literally something happening on like page 2. Like, there's just something happening. There's no like 3 pages of description of the world. Like, there's literally like, you're in the middle of something and it's already happening, and it just takes you from there, and you just kind of like follow it right along. And there's, I don't know, something's always happening. There's always something going on, and I really liked it. I was like invested within the first few pages. I was like, holy crap, what's happening? And I don't know, I literally could have read this book in one day if I had had the time, but alas, life, and I could not. So I literally, like, when I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it. And then when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I can't even handle this. So the plot was really good. I really liked the plot. There were quite a few twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. I loved the pacing. The pacing was excellent. It wasn't too fast, and it definitely was not slow by any means. So that was really nice. And then the writing kind of ties into the plot, or the pacing as well. John does not waste time on fluff. There are no like paragraphs where he's describing how the light shone through leaves and it dappled a rock or something. Like, there's none of that going on. Like, you get hardly any descriptions of any of the places. Like, it's just enough to know like what kind of place you're in. Like, you're like, oh, this is a forest. Oh, this is a castle. Like, there's none of this like paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff getting described and explained, and it's refreshing because it's done in such a way where you understand enough that you know what's happening and where you're at, but you're not overwhelmed, or you're not underwhelmed and just being like, I don't even know what the heck is going on. Like, what are these characters doing? Why are they here? You know, where are they? There's none of that happening. Like, you know where you are, you know what the character is doing, you know what they're trying to accomplish, and it's very wonderful. I really, really liked it. Literally, like, every word in this book is important. There is like nothing in here that, you know, detracts from the story or whatever, and I really enjoyed that. It's just nice to see an author that can craft such a well-written story and not have to use 30 words to explain something that should take 5 words. But it's done well. It's not like basic writing. It's like really well written. It's a really well-written story, and you can tell that he's intelligent, the author's intelligent, like, he knows what he's doing. It's really, really good. I really liked it. As far as like terms that are part of the world, there were quite a few like words, terms, phrases that I was not familiar with, and I literally don't know if that's because I have not read the previous series and it's something that's talked about in there, or it could be because of the influences the author took and used in this book. So I might just not be familiar with the terms that are used because they're, I don't know, from a certain time in history or a certain people group or whatever, and I just didn't know it beforehand, but there was enough explanation in the surrounding text around the phrase or word or whatever that I was able to understand what they were talking about. So that was really nice. And then the last category is overall enjoyment. So I already said my favorite part of this book was the characters. I absolutely love the characters. Sig was my favorite character in this book. I just really liked her story, and her backstory was really good, and I just really appreciated like all of the things that she did in the book, and how like she was like the embodiment of like doing the right thing, and not running away, even though, you know, she would have been better off if she had just, you know, left or whatever. So I really liked her character a lot. Another thing that I liked about this book was the relationship between Drem and his dad. I just think that they had a wonderful relationship. Drem is one of the main characters, and his dad is a single parent, and Drem is an adult. He's grown, and his dad is older, but their relationship was just so, I really liked it. I feel like there are a lot of books out there that have really bad relationships between children and their parents, regardless of how old they are. But this book did an excellent job with that relationship, and I really liked it. If that relationship was different, then Drem would not be the person that he is, or the character that he is, and I would probably like him a little bit less for it. But as it stands, I really like that relationship. So that is basically all I have to say about this book. I hope that was a little bit, I hope you could understand that a little bit. It's been a long time since I have done a book review video, and I just got, you know, out of the habit of doing it. So, and my mind is likes to jump around to things. So this is why I structure these the way I do, because at least it would make a little bit more sense than if I just started randomly talking about it. So anyways, A Time of Dread got 4, what did I give it? Oh, 4 4.7 out of 5 stars. It was so close to being a 5-star book. I'm hoping that maybe the sequel or the third book will be 5 stars unless something like completely drastic happens or whatever, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I've heard that, you know, from most people that have read these books, they say they just keep getting better, and I'm like, how do you even make this better? But that's what they say, so I'm excited to continue this series. And if you guys have read this book and enjoyed it, or if you didn't enjoy it, I would love to know your thoughts on it. And if you have decided to pick it up because of this review, let me know that too. And I want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another one. Bye!